Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the place where we, take these really profound sources from around the world and try to synthesize them into, well, pure, memorable knowledge just for you.
That's the goal.
And today, we are really undertaking, I think, a deep dive into spiritual architecture. It's built on this idea that real insight, it doesn't often come from frantic searching, does it? It's more about deep contemplation, synthesis.
Yeah, exactly. It mirrors the text we're actually looking at today.
Which is?
We are lifting the veil, so to speak, on the core teachings of Sikhism.
Yeah.
Specifically as they're encapsulated in Guru Nanak's foundational work, the Japji Sahib.
Right.
And for you, the curious learner listening in, think of this text as essentially a very precise 38-step ladder. A spiritual blueprint for the soul's ultimate journey towards God realization.
The 38-step ladder. Okay. And to really get a handle on how revolutionary this was, we kind of have to picture the world Guru Nanak was living in, right? Back in the 15th, 16th centuries.
Absolutely crucial context.
His ministry, it grew right in the middle of these, huge existing spiritual structures. You had Hinduism, with its deep roots, rituals, caste, mythology. And then you had Islam, often state-backed, with its own powerful piety, sometimes quite rigid.
That environment shaped everything. I mean, Guru Nanak needed to communicate something radically new, monotheistic, non-ritualistic, but, and this is key, he had to speak a language his audience could grasp.
And his audience was coming from?
Primarily seekers from those two backgrounds, Hindu and Muslim. So he very skillfully used the spiritual terms, the concepts, sometimes even the figures they already knew.
But not just to repeat them.
No, often to sort of repurpose them, to point out their limitations, maybe their futility, for achieving what he saw as true spiritual growth, a different kind of path.
So what was the ultimate aim then? What was this driving goal that made this new path, this whole spiritual journey, necessary in his view?
Okay, so the central idea, and you find echoes in other dharmic traditions, but it's incredibly clear here, is that the human soul, your soul, is eternal. It's actually part of the Creator.
Right.
But it's temporarily separated. There's this veil between the soul and the Creator, and he calls it the veil of Kur.
Kur. Okay, what does that mean exactly? Falsehood.
Yeah, falsehood is the usual translation, but it's richer than that. It's illusion, really. It's created by Maya, this fundamental error of believing the material world, and especially our own ego, our sense of I, is permanent and the ultimate reality.
It's like spiritual static getting in the way.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. And the human birth itself, this life you're living, is described as incredibly precious. It's rare.
Oh, rare.
Well, the tradition often cites it as coming after a vast cycle of incarnations, maybe 8.4 million. The point is, it's a unique opportunity.
An opportunity for what?
To strive for reunion, to pierce that veil of Kur. And the result of that is moksha, or nirvana salvation, liberation. The Japji Sahib, then, is basically the instruction manual for seizing this precious chance.
Okay, right. The manual, the ladder. Let's unpack this blueprint. If it's a ladder, what's the absolute foundation? What's the overall structure look like?
The foundation, the very first thing, is the Mool mantra. Think of it as the core creed.
Okay.
That's followed by the 38 paris. Those are the steps or stanzas.
The 38 steps of the ladder.
Exactly. And then it wraps up with a concluding sloka, like an epilogue or summary. And importantly, for centuries, this hasn't just been something you read whenever. It's prescribed for daily recitation.
Right.
During a specific time called the ambrosial hour, or Amrit Vela.
Amrit Vela. That timing sounds significant. It's traditionally the couple of hours before sunrise.
That's right, usually defined that way.
Oh, yeah.
But the reasoning behind it is deeply spiritual.
Why then?
Well, practically, it's when the mind is supposedly freshest, most rested, least caught up in the day's noise and demands.
Makes sense. Lowest distraction.
Right. Historically, this practice really took hold when Guru Nanak settled in Kartarpur. But metaphorically, Amrit Vela is really any time the mind frees itself from that constant chasing after worldly things, the hunger we'll talk about, and turns completely towards the Lord. It's about finding the optimal state for spiritual work.
Okay, so let's get to that absolute foundation then, the Mool mantra. You said it's not just a prayer, it's like a theological declaration, uttered right after his big epiphany.
It is the definitive statement of Sikh belief, non-negotiable. It starts with Ek Onkar affirming the Creator is one.
One God.
Unequivocally. And then it stresses he's self-created, deathless, has no lineage, no physical form. The terms used are packed with meaning. He's called Anil.
Anil.
Meaning utterly without taint, pure, beyond any corruption or decay.
Okay. And you also mentioned Anad.
Anod without a beginning. These negative descriptions are vital. They emphasize the Lord isn't bound by time or cycles or the kind of dependent creation stories you find elsewhere. He's transcendent.
Above and beyond.
But, and this is also core, the Mu mantra simultaneously establishes that the world, the creator, and the self, yourself, are fundamentally one and the same.
The immanence of the transcendent creator. He's everywhere, but also beyond everything.
Exactly. It's a paradox, but a central one.
So how does realizing that we're part of this creator, how does that immediately change how we live, how we interact with others?
It should dismantle the biggest barriers, fear and enmity. The Mu mantra defines the Lord as nirva, free of all fear and nirvair, without antagonism, without hatred or ill will.
Right.
So if you truly recognize that eternal spark within yourself and critically within everyone else, well, fear of earthly powers, fear of death, it starts to look absurd, doesn't it?
Yeah, the basis for it disappears.
Greed, dread, rancor, all those negative things, they stem from that sense of separation and ego. They should vanish the moment you internalize this shared divinity.
So the description itself leads to the transformation. But it doesn't just describe God, it also points the way.
Yes, the very last phrase is Guru Prasad.
Guru Prasad.
Realization comes through the grace of the Guru. This is crucial. It means, yes, you have to strive, you have to purify yourself, do the work. But the final breakthrough, that lifting of the veil of Kur, it's ultimately an act of divine grace. Your effort makes you ready, makes the vessel worthy, perhaps. But the moment itself comes when the Lord wills it.
And for Sikhs, the Guru isn't necessarily a person anymore.
Correct. The Guru is the word, the Bani, the scripture itself, the Guru Granth Sahib, which contains the Japji.
Which leads us perfectly into the first actual step of the ladder, Pauri 1. It poses this massive central question right at the start. Guru Nanak asks basics, how do we become true? How do we pierce this veil of falsehood, this Kur?
It's the fundamental challenge, isn't it? And what's brilliant here is that Guru Nanak doesn't just give the answer straight away. He starts by taking down the usual suspects.
The common methods people were trying.
Exactly. The four most deeply ingrained approaches to spirituality he saw around him. He dismantles them one by one.
Okay, what's the first one he dismisses?
External purification. Sochai.
What? Like ritual bathing?
Yes, but it's broader. He dismisses the idea that just washing your body or performing endless external cleansing rituals can actually purify your mind. And this wasn't just about hygiene. It was a direct hit on the caste system, too.
How so?
Because that system was built on concepts of inherent ritual purity and pollution. Some people clean, others unclean by birth. Guru Nanak says, look, you can bathe at 100 sacred spots, perform countless ablutions, but if the inner grime is still there, it doesn't matter. True purity has to be internal.
Right. Okay, so external rituals are out. What's next?
Austerity and silence. Chupi.
Like the practices of ascetics, yogis.
Precisely. Practices aimed at forcing the mind to be still, forcing silence. He argues that trying to compel silence from the outside without inner understanding achieves nothing lasting.
So sitting silently for months isn't the answer.
Not if the inner storm, the desires, the trishna is still raging inside. You've just put a lid on it temporarily, not transformed it.
Okay. Third approach he takes down.
The endless pursuit of stuff. Wealth, power, satisfying appetites.
Buch, hunger.
Literally hunger, yes, but here it means that insatiable hunger for material things, for status, for power. The Guru highlights how utterly futile it is to try and satisfy the soul's real hunger, the longing for the Lord, with external things.
He uses some pretty strong imagery, I recall.
Powerful hyperbole. He says, even if you could pile up the wealth of entire world Turian bar, it couldn't buy you God realization. It can't quiet that deep inner yearning.
Right. And the fourth and final dismissal, he kind of throws shade on just being smart, doesn't he?
He does. Sayanap. Pure intellect, scholarship. He says you can't reach God just by relying on wisdom, intelligence, or knowing lots of things, even if you had the sharpest mind, the intellect of thousands of learned scholars.
Why not? Isn't knowledge good?
Earthly knowledge is useful for earthly things, sure. But for God realization, he argues it's unavailing because the Lord is beyond human reason, beyond logic. You can't think your way into union with the infinite. You have to experience it.
Wow. Okay, so he's cleared the decks. No amount of ritual washing, forced silence, accumulating wealth, or sheer brain power is enough on its own. So, after all that, what is the answer? What's the simple, elegant breakthrough that pierces the veil of Kur?
It comes right at the end of the Pari, and it's both profoundly simple and incredibly challenging.
Which is
Hukam Rajayat Chalna.
Hukam Rajay Chalna, meaning
It means walk in accordance with his will, his ordinance, total acceptance, total surrender to whatever he decrees. It's about molding your entire being into a path of non-resistance.
just accepting whatever happens.
Accepting it as his will, being
Well-
content with whatever state he keeps you in without the constant questioning, complaining, anxiety. It's that uncomplaining acceptance, that surrender, which brings the serenity and purity needed for the soul to awaken.
That concept, Hukaman, feels absolutely central then, and it leads straight into power too, doesn't it? If surrendering to his will, Hukam, is the answer, we need to know what Hukam actually is.
Exactly. And hukam is a huge concept. It's the divine ordinance. Think of it as the perpetual underlying natural and spiritual law that the Lord has set in place. It governs everything.
Everything.
The entire creation. It dictates the laws of physics shaping matter, the orbits of planets, but also the destiny of living beings. Why some experience greatness, others suffering, why some receive blessings, the whole cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. It all operates under hukam.
Okay, but hang on. That immediately brings up the big question, the one theologians have wrestled with forever. If Hukam dictates everything, destiny included, doesn't that mean everything is predetermined?
The free will versus determinism question.
Yeah. Where's the room for human effort, for choice, if it's all ordained? Doesn't that just lead to spiritual paralysis? Like, why bother?
It's the intellectual hurdle, and Guru Nanak addresses it, but it needs a nuanced understanding. He's not saying you're a complete puppet.
So how does he square it?
The framework is set by hukam. The cosmic laws, the consequences of actions, karma, the cycle of life and death, that's the divine structure. But within that structure, humans are uniquely given the capacity for choice. Free will.
Choice about what?
You can choose how you orient yourself within that framework. You can choose to be a manmukh, that's the ego-centered person turned away from God, fighting the current.
Okay.
Or you can choose to be a gurmukh, the God-centered person, the one who follows the guru's path, which is precisely the path of accepting hukam.
So Hukam is like the river, and our choice is whether we swim with the current or constantly struggle against it.
That's a very good analogy, yes. And our actions do matter, profoundly. They determine our soul status within this life and the next. Good deeds, aligning with hukam, elevate the soul, preparing it for grace. Bad deeds, born from ego and resisting hukam, cause regression, leading to suffering.
So the choice is in our response, our alignment.
Your choice of how you react to whatever hukam brings blessings or hardships, that's where your free will operates.
And what's the main thing stopping us from choosing that path of surrender, that alignment with the current?
The great spiritual enemy, haumai.
Haumai.
Ego. Ego, yes. The sense of I-ness, selfishness, arrogance, that insidious whisper that says, I did this, I deserve this, I am in control. Haumai is the root of all negativity, greed, fear, hatred, because it creates that illusion of separation from the universal reality, from God, from others.
And how do you conquer Haumai? Is it just willpower?
The Guru's insight is that the person who truly recognizes and accepts hukam, who sees the divine hand in everything, their haumai automatically starts to wither.
How?
Well, if you genuinely understand that even your successes, your talents, your very breath are ultimately flowing from the Lord's ordinance, where's the ground for pride? Ego needs that feeling of, I did it myself.
Right, accepting Hukam pulls the rug out from under the ego.
Exactly. Ego must be suppressed to receive nadar, divine grace, because if you're relying on your own strength, puffed up with your own achievements, that just feeds the haumai, making that veil of core thicker.
Okay, so we've established that external rituals like washing are futile for inner purity. But Guru Nanak seems to keep coming back to this theme, hammering home the inadequacy of just going through the motions. Let's look at Pari 6 and pilgrimages.
Yes, Pari 6 directly contrasts the physical act of going on pilgrimage, visiting tiraths or holy sites with internal devotion. Pilgrimage was and is a massive thing in many faiths.
A central practice.
Absolutely. And the Guru acknowledges that, yes, people visit holy places, take ritual baths, seeking merit. But he says these external acts by themselves are spiritually empty. They can even be a distraction from the real work.
So what is the real pilgrimage then? The true tirath.
The true tirath is internal. It's achieved by listening deeply to the Guru's word, the Bani, by developing unwavering faith, by cultivating deep love and devotion for the Lord in your heart.
So the holy place is inside you.
Precisely. If you follow this internal path, the sanctuary is within. You don't need to travel anywhere. You can access this inner Tireth anytime and wash away the grime of sins from your mind and intellect right where you are. The location is irrelevant, the inner state, the devotion, that's everything.
And he connects this internal cleansing directly to the importance of our actions in Pari 20. He uses a very down-to-earth analogy there, doesn't he, about washing things.
He does. It's very relatable. He says, look, if your hands or body get dirty, you use water to clean them, right?
Yeah.
If your clothes get soiled, you use soap. External agents for external dirt. Simple.
Okay.
But, he asks, what about the mind? The mat. When that gets soiled by sin, by the accumulation of negative actions and thoughts that define our spiritual state, what cleanses that?
And the answer isn't water or soap.
No.
Oh.
It's cleansed only by the love of his name, Navy Kairung, the color or dye of the name. It implies that repetition of the name, filled with genuine love and devotion, acts like a spiritual detergent, scrubbing the mind clean.
And there's a stark warning in that Pari, too, about the consequences of our actions, isn't there?
Very stark. The core message is virtue and vice, good deeds and sin, they aren't just abstract ideas or temporary things. Whatever we do, good or bad, gets indelibly written onto our soul. It creates our karma.
You carry it with us.
Absolutely. We carry the consequences into future lives. You have to be constantly mindful of this spiritual accounting. As the Guru says, Api bij api hai kahu, as you sow, so shall you reap. It puts the responsibility squarely on us right now for every choice we make within the framework of Hukam.
Okay, so if our actions are crucial and internal purification through devotion is the goal, how does one actually start climbing this 38-step ladder? The Guru outlines a really important discipline starting around Pari 8, focusing on sunyai, listening.
Yes, Paras 8 through 11 are a distinct block, a quartet, all focused on the spiritual power you gain from truly listening to the word of the Lord. And this isn't just, hearing it in the background while you do other things.
That's passive hearing.
No, it's an active, deep process, imbibing the meaning, reflecting on it, contemplating it, mulling it over until the word sinks in, becomes part of you, until you realize its truth internally.
And what kind of results does Guru Nanak promise for someone who really masters this deep listening, this sunyai?
The benefits are described as almost miraculous, both cosmic and personal. He says listening can elevate your consciousness to the level of the gods he mentions, Shiva, Brahma, Indra.
Wow.
It imparts intuitive knowledge. For instance, the secrets of the body's inner workings, the energy centers, the kind of knowledge claimed by practitioners of Hatha Yoga through intense physical effort.
Yes.
The listener gains that understanding automatically, intuitively, just through absorbing the word.
That's a huge claim. That deep listening can give you the insight that others spend lifetimes in physical austerities trying to achieve.
That's the assertion. The shortcut is spiritual, not physical exertion. Furthermore, he says, listening grants the essence, the sum total of all the spiritual scriptures, the Vedas, the Shastras, the Sritas. All that wisdom becomes accessible.
So listening is the key that unlocks knowledge.
Knowledge, yes. And ultimately, it removes suffering. It washes away woes and evils. It allows the devotee, the listener, to live in a state of constant spiritual upliftment, vigas, or exaltation. It's the absolutely vital first step in self-discipline, in controlling the mind.
And mastering that listening, sunyai, naturally prepares the seeker for the next crucial stage, doesn't it? Mani. The state of belief or conviction. That's Paras 12 through 15.
Exactly. It's the progression. You listen deeply, you reflect, and then you reach Mani, not just intellectual agreement, but an unshakable, deeply rooted faith and conviction based on that understanding.
And what does achieving this state of Mani unlock for the seeker? What changes?
This is where realization really dawns. Mani brings profound inner awareness, Bud, an intuitive grasp of the universe's workings, of Hukam, and crucially, the reward isn't delayed.
What do you mean?
This state of true belief, true conviction, brings immediate access to liberation. Ma'dwar, the door to salvation, opens right then and there. You don't have to wait for death or perform endless rituals.
So the true believer, the one in the state of Mani, they kind of transcend ordinary limitations even while still alive. It sounds like they're already touching the realm of grace.
In a very real sense, they are. Because they've surrendered to Hukam, they are freed from the paralyzing fear of death, the fear of Yama, the Lord of Death.
Right.
They're no longer distracted or misled by narrow sectarian religious paths, because they've grasped the universal truth. They gain Sarbat Jyan, holistic knowledge. They're saved from that spiritual pain of feeling separated from the Lord. This person can live as a Jivan Mukta.
A Jivan Mukta, liberated while living. What does that look like in practice? How would you recognize someone in that state?
The hallmark is profound spiritual equanimity. They aren't tossed about by extreme joy or deep sorrow. The guru is very specific. For such a person, gold holds no more allure than a lump of mud.
Complete detachment from worldly value.
Complete acceptance. Whatever the Lord provides, whatever state Hukam places them in, they accept it as the appropriate gift, the right order. They live according to his will without inner turmoil or complaint. And importantly, this state isn't achieved through external means, but entirely through that inner journey. Deep listening leading to unshakable belief and complete surrender.
Okay, so we have this internal path laid out. Listening, believing, accepting Hukam. Then the guru seems to zoom out dramatically in Porus 19 and 22. He starts describing the sheer scale of creation itself. It sounds like he's painting a picture of an infinite multiverse.
He really is. It's designed to be mind-boggling, I think. It's an affirmation of the Lord's infinite, limitless power and creativity. He talks about worlds beyond worlds, countless forms of life, innumerable nether regions, patal and heavens.
Just endlessness.
Endlessness. The sheer scale is meant to induce humility, to make the ego shrink. And the guru explicitly warns against trying to quantify it. He says any human attempt to count or measure this immensity, to map it all out, is futile. It's actually sinful arrogance. Only the true one, the creator himself, knows his own extent.
And this directly counters some of the existing creation myths, right?
Right.
Specifically, the idea popular in Hinduism that the earth rests on the horns of a giant bull.
Yes, he tackles that head on. He rejects that literal physical explanation. He poses the logical question. Okay, if the bull holds up the earth, what holds up the bull? And what holds that up? It leads to an infinite regress.
So what's his alternative? What is holding up the cosmos?
He provides the theological, the spiritual answer. The worlds aren't supported by a mythical creature, but by Dharam.
Dharam meaning righteousness, duty, law.
All of those. The natural order, the divine law, righteousness. That's the true support, the spiritual scaffolding of the entire universe.
Okay, and what's the foundation of Dharam itself?
Beautifully, he says, Dharam is the child of Daya, compassion, because the Lord, out of compassion, desires his creation to function in harmony. And the whole structure is held together by Santok contentment.
Contentment, how does that hold up the universe?
It's the principle that every part of creation, planets, stars, beings, atoms, operates within its ordained function, content with its place and purpose, not trying to rebel or exceed its bounds. It's a vision of a perfectly ordered, compassionate cosmos sustained by divine law and inherent contentment.
That's quite a vision. Now let's shift gears to another incredibly vivid section, Pauri 27. This is the vision of the divine court. It feels like the ultimate illustration of Hukam in action.
It's spectacular, an awe-inspiring picture of the Lord's abode. But the key is, his abode isn't some distant palace. It's the entire vast cosmos itself. And everything within it is constantly singing his praises.
Who are the singers in this cosmic choir?
Guru Nanak lists them poetically. The ragas, the sacred melodies themselves, are singing celestial powers, elemental forces. Dharam Raj, the judge of deeds, is there, along with Chitragupt, the celestial record keeper.
Oh.
Then you have the perfected beings, Siddhi, the devoted saints, Sad, the gods, Devtas, and significantly, even the Danavs, often seen as demonic or opposing forces, they too are part of this cosmic orchestra, singing his praises.
Wow, include the demonic forces really emphasizes the totality, doesn't it? That everything operates under his ultimate sovereignty.
Absolutely. Nothing is outside his hukam. But perhaps the most profound and arguably controversial statement in this Pauri concerns the Hindu Trinity.
Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva.
Yes, Guru Nanak explicitly describes them, the creator, preserver, and destroyer figures revered by millions as being subordinate followers who are simply carrying out the true Lord's will.
Hold on, that's a massive theological statement for his time. He's basically saying the beings many considered supreme are the middle managers.
That's a blunt way to put it, but essentially, yes. This is Guru Nanak's powerful assertion of absolute, uncompromising monotheism. He's acknowledging their roles in the cosmic drama, but firmly placing them within the limits set by the one true master, the Ek Onkar.
So it strips away any notion of them having independent ultimate power.
Correct. And by extension, it critiques any human power structures, priests, rulers who might claim authority derived from those lesser divinities. The whole vision is a stunning metaphor, urging the individual ego, the haumai, to just surrender and find its place in this harmonious cosmic order, just like even the mightiest gods do.
Speaking of engaging with existing structures, Guru Nanak then turns his focus directly onto the Jogi or Yogi sects in parts 28 through 31. They were a very visible, distinct group back then.
Very prevalent. These were ascetics, mendicants, often identifiable by specific physical marks and practices, pierced ears, ashes, begging bowls, etc. They had renounced the world.
And Guru Nanak uses his typical approach here. Not outright condemnation, but transformation.
Exactly. He doesn't dismiss the idea of renunciation or discipline, but he insists that the true yogi practices are internal, spiritual, not merely external shows. He takes their physical symbols and turns them into metaphors for inner virtues.
Okay, let's break that down. They famously wore large earrings, munda. What should the true yogi wear instead?
Contentment. Santak. That should be the earring, constantly reminding the wearer to be inwardly poised and grateful.
And their begging bowl, patra, and the pouch they carried, joli.
Those should represent honest labor, Shrayam. Instead of relying on charity, the true yogi should engage in hard work, earning their way. The focus shifts from receiving to contributing, even in renunciation.
What about the holy ash bibhut that they often smeared on their bodies?
That should be replaced by deep contemplation, Dayan. Instead of covering the physical body with fleeting ash, the true yogi must immerse their mind in constant meditation on the Lord.
And other symbols.
Right.
The patched cloak, the staff.
Awareness of mortality, contemplating the reality of death and time, Kal. That should be the patchwork cloak, Kintha. And the staff, Danda, they lean on. That should be faith, Adhar, in God. Every single external item is skillfully reinterpreted as an essential inner quality.
And the overall goal of the yogi path is also reframed, isn't it? Away from seeking powers or status.
Completely. The true yogis community, their sect, Jamaat, shouldn't be some exclusive group, but Sagal Jamati, all of humankind. It's a call for universal brotherhood, breaking down those sectarian walls.
Wow.
And the ultimate aim isn't about performing miracles, siddhis, or gaining supernatural powers to impress people. The real victory, the only one that matters, is conquering the self, defeating haumai. That's the true conquest.
And he applies this same corrective lens to their understanding of cosmic powers too, reinforcing his point about the Trinity.
Yes, in Pauri 30, he speaks directly to the yogis' likely understanding. He acknowledges again, yes, creation, preservation, destruction happen associated with Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. But he reiterates they are celebrated followers. Agents carrying out the will of the one true Lord, they aren't the source.
So the ultimate respect goes higher.
The ultimate salutation, the Garbis, must be reserved only for the primal one, the beginningless, the untainted, the indestructible Lord who oversees even them. He is unique, supreme.
Okay, so as we approach the climax of the Japji Sahib, Guru Nanak presents this incredible spiritual map. The journey of the soul through 5 realms, the Khans. This is in parts 34 to 37. This sounds like where everything comes together.
It really is the culmination. It lays out the stages of the soul's evolution, its ascent towards the final goal, and it starts right here, where we are now.
Which is?
Dharam Khand. The realm of righteous action or duty. The Guru is crystal clear. This earth, this life, it's the Dharamsal, the arena for action. It's not our final home. It's the place we're given to earn our way closer to God through our deeds.
And how are we judged here?
Strictly by our actions. Karmi. Our choices, our deeds, determine our spiritual status. Here, the souls are sorted the ripe, Pake, who have acted righteously are separated from the unripe, Kaki, who haven't. It's the realm of consequences.
What happens after this earthly stage if the soul progresses?
It ascends to Gyan Khand, the realm of knowledge.
But didn't he say earlier that intellect alone, synap, wasn't enough?
Good point. This isn't just worldly knowledge or intellectual cleverness. This is boundless spiritual and cosmic knowledge. The seeker here gains a true appreciation of the infinite nature of creation. Countless worlds, suns, moons, galaxies, myriad forms of life, endless ranks of gods like Vishnus, Brahmas, Indras.
The purpose be?
To shatter the ego's limitations, to realize your own smallness in the face of this incomprehensible vastness. It induces awe and humility, preparing you for the next, much harder stage. The sheer scale can be overwhelming, but it's necessary.
Which leads to the really challenging realm, Dharam Khand, the realm of spiritual striving or effort.
Yes. Saram here implies intense spiritual labor, shaping, beautification. This is where the real inner work, the discipline cultivated through sunyai, listening, and mani, belief, bears fruit. It's the forge.
To forge.
It's where the soul itself is hammered and shaped into something of incomparable beauty and heightened consciousness. The seeker's inner awareness, surti, their intellect, mat, their mind, man, all are remolded, refined through intense spiritual effort. The texts describe this effort as being sharper than a sword's edge, narrower than a hair. It's the painful but necessary shedding of the remaining layers of haumai.
Wow, that sounds incredibly difficult. Once the soul is forged through that fire, where does it go?
It enters the penultimate realm, Dharam Khand, the realm of grace.
Ah, karam here means grace, not action karma.
Exactly. This realm is defined by effortless spiritual power and total absorption in the Lord. It's inhabited by the truly blessed souls, the great devotees, the spiritual warriors, Sor, who have won the ultimate battle against their own selves.
The Jivan Luktas we talked about earlier.
They reside here, essentially. Because the Lord dwells fully in their hearts, they are completely beyond death's reach, beyond the illusions of Maya, beyond worldly cares. They live in a state of pure grace, their hard effort from Dharam Khand now transformed into effortless unity.
And the final destination. The top of the ladder.
Sak Khand, the realm of truth, the ultimate abode.
What's it like there?
This is where the formless one, the true Lord, resides eternally. The soul that has successfully journeyed through the other four realms now dwells in perfect, unbroken union with him. There's no more separation, no more striving, just blissful realization, seeing all of creation, all the universes operating in perfect harmony according to his Hukam. It's the ultimate homecoming.
An incredible journey. So, having mapped out these realms, Guru Nanak brings the Pauris to a close with Pauri 38. And he uses another powerful practical analogy to summarize the whole process, right?
Yeah.
The goldsmith.
Yes, it brings it all back down to a concrete image. It's not abstract. It's a final set of instructions, using a craft everyone would understand, on how to forge the true name, the divine consciousness, within yourself.
Okay, walk us through the components of this spiritual goldsmith's workshop.
Right. So, Jack control of the senses, continence, spiritual discipline, that's the furnace. You need heat.
Okay.
Diraj, deep patience, poise, steadfastness, that's the goldsmith himself, the skilled, patient worker.
The anvil, the tools.
Intellect, Matt, is the anvil, the solid base of understanding. Knowledge, Ved, here, meaning spiritual wisdom, is the hammer, the tool you use to shape your consciousness.
And what fuels the furnace? What creates the intense heat needed for transformation?
Bow, fear, or better, awe and reverence for the Lord that acts as the bellows fanning the flames. And the heat itself comes from tap austerity, the disciplined effort, the inner heat generated by self-control.
Okay, so you have the furnace, the smith, the tools, the heat. What's being melted and shaped?
Loving devotion bow again, but now deepened into profound love, not just awe, that's the crucible, the vessel. And in that vessel, the nectar of the name, Amrit Nam, is melted and molded. That's the process of casting the true name, the divine essence, right into your inner consciousness. That's the gold you're creating.
So it's an intricate process requiring immense effort, discipline, heat. But there's still that final caveat, isn't there?
Always. The Guru concludes the Pauri by reminding us, this ultimate achievement, this forging of the name within, this final union, it's the destiny only of those upon whom the Lord bestows his glance of grace. Nadar.
Grace is still required.
The intense, disciplined work, Mashkat Gal, is absolutely essential. It purifies you, makes you ready, it gets you through Dharam Khand. But that final leap into Dharam Khand, the realm of grace, and ultimately Sash Khand, that comes only by his will. Effort and grace, perfectly balanced.
And the Japji Sahib doesn't just end there. There's a concluding sloka, like an epilogue.
Yes, a final summation. It beautifully encapsulates the whole spiritual context of our life here.
How does it describe our existence?
It uses elemental metaphors. Air is the guru, the vital principle, the guide. Water is the sire, the source, origin. Earth is the great mother, our foundation, our substance. Day and night are like nurses, attendants, witnessing the play of life.
And it circles back to judgment.
Critically, yes. It reiterates that our good and bad deeds are recorded, accounted for, and read out in the divine presence. It connects directly back to the judgment happening in Dharam Khand, the first realm.
And the ultimate reward or punishment. It's not heaven or hell in the conventional sense.
The reward is defined spiritually. Nearness to the Lord, that is heaven. Punishment is distance from him, being cast further away into the cycles of rebirth. That is hell. It's about proximity to the divine.
And what's the final promise for those who undertook the journey?
The sloka assures that those who faithfully performed the hard labor, Mashkat Gal, of meditating on the name, who forged that inner gold, their faces will be radiant, illuminated, ujale. And importantly for the community aspect, through their liberation, through their radiant example, many others, Katijutinal, will also find freedom. Their light helps liberate others.
So we've really journeyed through a complete, incredibly elegant spiritual system here. The Japji Sahib feels like a comprehensive roadmap.
It truly is.
Demanding, yes,
Yeah.
but promising so much. We saw the absolute oneness of the Creator, salvation is the goal, the futility of empty ritual, the necessity of effort, that listening, Sunyai, believing man, self-control, but always balanced with that ultimate reliance on Nadar, his grace.
It's a remarkable synthesis. It laid the theological and philosophical foundation for Sikhism, a major world faith. And you see its enduring power in how it's revered.
Yeah, the source material reminds us it was Guru Gobind Singh, the 10th Guru, who in 1708 declared that the line of human gurus would end. He installed the Sri Guru Granth Sahib, the scripture, containing this very Japji Sahib as the final perpetual guru.
Exactly. That act elevated the word, the Bani, to the status of the eternal guide. So for you listening, you've just spent this time diving deep into the foundational text. The key, really, to understanding that perpetual guru. It outlines not just rules, but a profound path of inner transformation and acceptance.
So we always like to leave you with something to think about. Here it is. If the core challenge is conquering that ego, the haumai, and learning to live in harmony with the divine ordinance, with Hukam, what's one immediate, maybe small change you could make today? Perhaps based on that idea of surrender in Hukam, or maybe on a practice of deep, true listening, Sunyai. What's one small step you could take to begin that journey of forging your own inner self, casting that true name within? Just let that question sit with you.